So tonight for the Fields of Green for All update, which will be combined with Myrtle's Rant, I would like to speak a bit about what's happened over the past year that stick in my mind, because you know that Myrtle's Rant is not scripted. So I'm thinking now, what can I bring up in this last show of the year before we take a break and a little bit of a breather and maybe repaint the studio. I'm thinking to myself, what is standing out to me very, very significantly from this year in our crazy weed world? Well, what I heard just this afternoon was that Brittany Griner, the American basketball star, has been released from prison, and in a prisoner swap, which is really, really great for her. It's great for her family and her friends, and I wonder whether it really was a show of diplomacy, and we all suspect that this was all just a political thing to start with. But how many prisoners are there just in America alone? I think that the last count, federally incarcerated prisoners for cannabis only, and of course it's all for cannabis trade. Nobody is federally imprisoned for possession of cannabis anymore. No. But of course the trade thing, just like in South Africa, is a big hoo-ha. And the last I heard was that there was possibly around 300 people still federally, I don't know about in the various states, imprisoned for cannabis. And, you know, while we've made strides in South Africa this year, we have been granted leave to appeal in the Labour Court. We've been granted leave to appeal in the Hayes Club case. The trial of the Plant 2 was launched. We had amazing mass gatherings in both Cape Town and Pretoria. Mm-hmm. There are still these 10 crisis points like hanging in the air. So I think for over the holiday season, one mustn't forget that there are still cannabis prisoners in South Africa. We have no way of knowing how many. We know of a handful and where they are, but not enough. Mm. And I think that that's what 2022 has meant for me, is that there've been there's been this progress, but it's almost been like a little step forward and then a little step to the side and then another wait. So 2022 has been a year of not quite sort of getting there.
It's been an actual dance when you put it like that.
It has
I pictured that
dance.
as you said the words, as like a little waltz or...
Yeah. There's also the people that have been lost through that system, right? They're locked up in jail for cannabis crimes, but they get so lost through the system that they end up there for decades. You know, no one actually even knows.
Completely lost in the system. Yeah. And what about in all of the countries around the world?
Yeah.
And what can we do about this? And as we know, and as we've always said over and over again, since I gave the first presentation on the subject in Montreal in 2016, cannabis is the gateway to this. And for those of you who don't really follow cannabis and general drug policy affairs at the United Nations, today and tomorrow is C&D Reconvened, it's called.
Yes.
Okay. So every year this C&D has their big conference in Vienna in March, and then 3 times through the year, between marches, they have a reconvened or intersessional section where they decide the agenda for next year in March, and they clean up all of the loose ends from the year. But do they really? I don't think they really do clean up on the loose ends from the year. So unfortunately, I only had like patchy internet today to be watching the goings on at C&D. But remember that there are members of civil society all around the world who are participating in these meetings. And we know that Kenzie, our intrepid Fields of Green for All ambassador from Spain, is there in person in Vienna for the reconvened meeting, and he made a big stand today against what was being said. But unfortunately, because of load shedding and the internet and everything, I didn't quite catch it, but we'll save that for some good news in the year. So looking back on the year, what can we take with us that can teach us something for next year? I think that we're going to have to take a big dose of patience with us and not be in a hurry next year, and also looking back is not always a bad thing.
No, it's not.
In my book. It's not always a bad thing, especially when it means learning lessons. And I think that the lesson that we haven't quite learned yet is the lesson of the legacy of cannabis. Now, we're going to be dealing with this in CBD and N a little bit later, but I think we need to look back and remember our legacy farmers this Christmas. Let's remember our farmers from the Umzimvubu Farmers Support Network, people who haven't sold a crop in 2 years. Let's remember the lessons that we need to learn from our mistakes and from everything going so slowly. And let's not forget all of the legacy farmers. And let's not forget all of those people who have suffered under prohibition, both here and around the world. And then looking forward, let's really try and have some hope that we can really do something about it. And then there's another story that's coming up in CBDNM which supports that. So 2023, going forward, a little sneak peek is going to be the year of the OG. 2023 is going to be the year of the OG here at Fields of Green for All in the Hotbox. So that's something for you to look forward to.
Yes.
So tonight was really a little bit of a mishmash of a Fields of Green update, and it wasn't really a rant, because I don't want to leave with a rant. We've got quite a lot to rant about, even on our CBDNNs tonight. But here's just wishing everybody a hopeful holiday season when it comes to cannabis and drug policy, for sure.